All right. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Comics News Today. I am Chester C. Busby III, and I welcome you to our show. Now, today we're going to be, of course, getting to our news shortly, as we always do. But the first thing we're going to do in the beginning of the show is we're going to be talking to another Indiegogo creator, which is awesome. There's a lot of cool products and things that are going on over on Indiegogo, and of course, you can find that through Indiecron, well, the sponsor of this show, of course, and we thank Pixel Trader very much. But I will get to that momentarily, of course. Keep in mind, we have all our links down below. Of course, one of the most important ones there is to our FanSpeak page over on Facebook, and we really appreciate all the effort the community is putting in over there. We got over 175 people now, and that is awesome. And we thank you very much. Also, keep in mind that my links to my Twitter and Facebook are available. If you want to be here on the show, whether you want to, sell one of your books or you want to just come on and share your voice with us, this is FanSpeak after all, and we'd love to have you guys here. Also, keep in mind you can contact me if you want to be on the Drawn and Quartered Fan Edition, which of course will be coming up tomorrow. Because today, in 2 hours from now, we will be well, supposedly, you never know; those guys are never on time. But we will be having the Drawn and Quartered Pro Edition, which I'm kind of curious today what their theme will be because it affects me tomorrow when I have to do my fan edition. But definitely go over and support that. The drone and quartered things are great entertainment that's going on in this community, and it's really a lot of fun. But thank you all for being here. I see already we have Nick in here. We got Joshua. We got Beowulf. Yeah, thank you guys for coming in and supporting us today. So let me just go over and I say hello to my panel. First, I'll come over to George. How you doing, man?
Greetings, everyone. I'm doing well. I'm looking forward to finding out what's going on with dinosaurs and samurai and all things news.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Absolutely. Thank you, George. And of course, we have the Denali Lama as usual.
Hello, guys. Well, I'm learning that yes, Coca-Cola tastes better in the glass bottle than it does in the plastic. So,
It does.
yes,
It always has, actually. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I have a hard time drinking soda unless there's ice involved, though. I don't know what it is, but I hardly ever drink soda. But if unless it's in a glass with ice, I can't drink out of the bottle, dude. I don't know. It's just me. But hey,
you're
uh,
weird.
I know. I'm not a soda person. I don't like the burning effect of carbonated things, I guess. So, the ice probably kills it a little bit. But whatever. That doesn't matter. We're not here to talk about Coca-Cola or any other kind of carbonated products. We're here to talk about dinosaurs and samurai. And we are joined by Mike Murphy. How you doing, man?
I am doing well. How are you doing?
I am awesome, dude. It's a kind of a gray day out here today for me, but that's all right. It's an early morning for me, guys. Of course, I know most of you are sitting in the evening time, but I'm over here in Asia, so it's quite different. But I got a long day ahead of me, and hopefully, it's going to be a nice, fun day. But it is starting early, as usual. But I'm awake. I'm here. I had some coffee, so it's yeah. So, Mike, we're here
Coffee's
to
good. Coffee's
Yeah,
good.
coffee's good. Mike, we're here today to talk about your Indiegogo that you have going on, and I'm going to go ahead and bring that up on the other side here and
Sure.
share it with you guys so everybody can see what I'm doing in the panel here. But first thing I want to do is I know that this is the redo that you had coming on, and oh, hold on a second, I'm having some issues
Having a
here.
meltdown.
No, but go ahead and tell while I try to get this working, go ahead and tell us what's going on.
Sure. So we originally launched in December of last year, and it was mostly a timing issue. Sergio has a lot going on this year, and like it was basically a now or never type thing. And it, fortunately, even though we didn't hit our goal the first time around, Sergio completed everything within about a month and a half
Hmm.
that he had to in terms of like fixing up the book. So like I'm free to like relaunch the campaign and give it another shot.
Oh, that's good, man. And keep in mind, everybody, that of course hitting that subbing and hitting that like, of course, are obviously appreciated. But the thing that really helps us the most is hitting that share button. So if you could help us out and do that, and let everybody know what's going on, so they come join us, that would be most appreciated. Thank you very much. And yeah, I would say that to me, so we talked about the first page. The first campaign, excuse me, and we looked
Mhm.
at your page and stuff, and and we thought it was a little convoluted the first time. But this second one you
Sure.
have here is much better. So obviously you had been given some critique from around you, and you have improved it, because I think this is a much better page. I'm just going to go ahead and kind of scroll through here real quick and show off what the page looks like and some of the art. There's a lot more art on the page this time, which that is good. And it's really focusing on the beginning of the book. So it's you put the first 11 pages, you said, right?
Yeah, it's the first 11 pages, and the biggest feedback that we got, especially from our backers, was they just wanted a sense of what the tone was.
Hmm.
So I figured, well, it is kind of an action adventure story, but it also is kind of this Kurosawa-esque slow burn epic. So, I figured the best way to get that across would be to show like the first 12 pages and just show like it is kind of a slow burn, like it's paced evenly.
Yeah, and I love the fact that there's dialogue. That's one thing when we did the Tales from the Beyond the Gate. I was quite insistent that we have to have some kind of dialogue in there, and we ended up giving away one of the anthology stories completely. Where people could just read it straight out, because we wanted to have dialogue there. I do have a question. Where is Utoko Kan? Where's that?
That is exactly nowhere.
Yeah, sure.
That's so it is somewhat historically accurate until it's not. um yeah, like that's a completely made up city, and there's a few other elements in the book that are slightly more fantasy
Ah,
based, let's say.
it doesn't matter at all, dude. I'm just playing. Of
Yeah,
course,
yeah.
you can go completely fantasy. Now, as you guys see here, we have a very stylized type of art looking here. I'm not sure. What would you call this type of art? I've seen it before, but it must have a name.
Yeah, Sergio's based in Spain, so he's very much a European cartoonist.
Hmm.
One of the things, but normally Sergio does superhero and high fantasy work.
Hmm.
So one of the things we talked about was really subduing his style a little bit for the sake of the storytelling. So he studied a lot of Lone Wolf and Cub and Usagi Yojimbo.
Ah, okay. Interesting. Yeah, and I'm just kind of going through the art here so everybody can see it. And Uh, yeah, cool. It's got some nice action. I love the fact you have dialogue. I really do that. I'm kind of like tempted to go back and read the whole thing in Japanese.
Nice, nice.
Mm.
Yeah, like I studied a bunch of campaigns, and most of them seemed to leave the pages blank just to highlight the art. Um, but I really kind of thought it would be smart to have a balance of both.
Sure. No, 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 absolutely. And the cool thing about over here on FanSpeak, I've really enjoyed is we check out so many of these Indiegogos on our own, and also having the creators come on like yourself and talk about it. And
Hmm.
it's really cool because we get to see so many different styles. I mean, across the board, right? And that's a lot of fun, because me personally, I'm learning all along the way about all these different techniques, and we've had a lot of people talking about how you draw this and how you do that, and it's been a lot of fun for me personally. But
Right, yeah.
why don't you give us a little bit of the backstory here of what's going on in your book, and just give us that kind of elevator pitch. You know what I mean?
You got it, man. Happy to. So, Samurai and Dinosaurs is a love letter to art house and grindhouse samurai movies. It's a love letter to the stop motion creature features of old. And as far as the elevator pitch goes, a group of elite samurai are dispatched to investigate a downed meteorite on the outskirts of, Utako Kakan. which is like a large, fairly well habitated Japanese city. Um, the meteorite goes down, and within a few months, reports of monsters terrorizing the countryside start to reach the daimyo, and that's where our team is dispatched to go and investigate what's going on. And the closer they get to their goal, time begins to break down and fracture all around them.
Mhm.
And what they discover is dinosaurs bleeding out of the Jurassic era into feudal Japan.
I see. All right. Now, your company here, hold on a second. Sorry about that. Your company here is called Chibi Comics, right? And
Yes, it
yeah,
is.
which is it's kind of cool. Kind of a modern, very Western word. Interestingly, if you come over to Japan and say chibi, no one knows what you're talking about, right?
It's kind
But
of passe at that point.
it's a very Western thing, and that's cool. It is descriptive, and we know what it means. But you're called chibi comics, but this is not a chibi comic at all.
No, no. Yeah, like we got our name. Originally we're from my wife and I, who's the co-publisher. We're originally from Chicago and we relocated to Portland. But
Mhm.
before we relocated, she had a cat, and its name was Chibi. That's why,
Okay.
yeah, that's why the insignia is the little black cat. So yeah, like, and originally we started by publishing mini comics, so tiny chibi. We just thought it went well together.
Oh no, sounds good. Edwin Boyette is in here, and he's asking me a question. He says, "Listening as I drive, can you remind me who won the fan edition? I didn't send a tweeter over to you. I'll have to check on that. I'm trying to think offhand who did win. I think it was Brad.
Uh, yeah,
It
Brad.
was Brad. Yeah, no. And when Brad won, Brad Ashworth, Pencil for Life. If you need me to drop a link into your Twitter, I will." Yes, and he says that Samurai and Dinosaur looks like a fun book. Yeah, I think it does as well. Absolutely. But yeah, if you need that link, just tell me when, and I'll send it over. But we also have Adam AF is in here. We have Obi-Wan reviews, and we also have in here Sporkman Studios, which is really fun.
Nice.
I was actually doing the New Wednesday Comics show with Brad over at Pencil for Life, and he was actually showing me the cover secretly. He didn't show it live, but I have seen the completed cover for the Sporkman Goes to Japan, and it literally looks cool. Can't wait for you guys to check it out.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, Edwin, just let me know. I'm pretty sure you have his link, but I will definitely go do that if you need so. Anyway, back to this. Now, you're telling us a little bit about how you came up with a name and you and your wife working together, which is really cool, dude. But
Thank you.
now you are the writer on this project, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
correct. I'm the writer, and Sergio Calve is the illustrator.
Yeah. And since you're going black and white, you don't have to worry about coloring. And I'm assuming either you or he are doing the lettering.
Yeah, he's doing the lettering. Usually, Selena and I handle all the lettering when we put together a book, but this time it's all him.
Okay, cool. Now, the question I have is, being a writer in comic
Mhm.
books, how did you get into that, dude? I mean, it's a tough thing to try to be a writer and get into comics. Artists, it's a lot easier, actually. If you got talent and you have style, what have you, it's a lot easier just to keep submitting until something hits, right?
Right,
Writers is a
right.
completely different beast. And how did you end up into this? Well, frankly, insane prospect of being a comic book writer.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Well, I'll try to give you the abridged version. I went to an art school in Chicago, and I had every intention of being a comic artist, 100%. The idea of writing didn't even enter into my head, and I started putting together a small company with a group of friends at the art school, and it was that thing of it quickly became apparent that someone had to actually write something for us all to draw.
Right. Yeah.
And it's kind of like the whole bass player thing in a band. Like, no one wants to do it, so someone just kind of says, "Well, all right, fine, I'll do it."
Sure. I'm the vocalist. I don't have to worry about such things.
Um, Right, right. So like that's where I started writing, and then once I met my wife and we relocated out here, the bulk of our income as freelancers quickly became freelance writing and art outside of comics. And so it just like it's that thing of like if you scrounge around the internet long enough and just look at creative company pages, eventually you'll find someone looking for dialogue work, editing, plot help, like stuff like that. And
Mhm.
little by little, like if you're willing to sacrifice the years that it takes, like you can make a living as a writer.
Yeah, no, of course you can. You just have to kind of find your way in. Is really the problem because a lot of companies is just you would think they'd be looking for writers, but they're not, or at least
No,
they
not
don't
at
have
all.
it set up where it's easy to get them. And it's kind of interesting because we were talking with Benny over at the White Widow project, and of course they have a lot more than White Widow going on, but that's been
with
a big
Absolute Comics.
yeah, yes, and that's been a big hit, right? They found a lot of success with that, and awesome, good for them, with
Yeah.
Jamie Tyndall and his just killer pinup art he does. But we're talking with Benny, and he was talking about artists submitting and how easy it is, and how they want to have more people get involved, yada yada yada. Same thing we hear all the time. And then I asked him the simple question. I said, well, I've kind of dipped my toe into the comic book writing world. How, say, would, for instance, I submit something to try to get involved with what you're doing? And of course, the answer was, oh, well, you got to come to us with a completed work, a
Right.
completed piece of work. And it's like, why? Why should this, and I don't disagree with him that he's saying he's wrong, because everybody says this and there must be some reason for it.
Sure.
But it's like, why is that the case? Why can't a writer submit a sample just like an artist can? But that seems not to be the case. And it's weird because we really need more writers. We need better writers, right? We can't keep
I
using the rehashing these old people. Bendis coming to mind. It's just not any good, man.
I completely agree, and I hear you. Like it's frustrating. I mean, we spent the better part of 10 years trying to make our way into the mainstream comic book industry, and there were a certain number of key events that happened last year where we just threw up our arms and we're like, this isn't the way for us.
Mm,
Um, but as a writer, it's I'm at this point I'm used to it. Like it is what it is, and I understand where editors are coming from. I understand the idea of it's easier to look at a 5-page sample pitch featuring full art than to sit down with like a script. And like it's more time consuming, and a lot of times when you read someone's script it can come off as really dry and descriptive, and
mhm.
you may think that that's what the end product will end up being, but yet if you see it juxtaposed with art, it can bring it to life, so to speak.
Yeah, no, I
So
understand that. I get that. And Ortiz is making a similar comment over here in the chat. But here's the thing: I'm an English teacher, right? And
sure, sure.
I get kind of English type script things all the time, right? It's part of my job, and I can
Right.
certainly discern what is what. I mean, why can't others?
Oh,
I do it all the time. You can certainly do it without a question.
yeah,
You can see talent very
yeah, but
easily,
see
actually.
that's the problem. See, the mind's eye interprets what is on the written page differently for everybody, and that's what I believe the editors don't want. If everyone can interpret something differently, there's no product there. It's just an imagination.
Yeah, but it also seems to me what they want is free stuff to sell and make money off of. Bring us your
Well, and
IPs, bring us your ideas. If we like it, we'll make money on it, is what it sounds like to me,
sure,
right? And that's
sure,
kind of nonsense
and
because they don't do that to the artist. They don't do that to the colorist or letters,
Yeah.
right?
well, I mean, okay, and like now that I'm not actively working towards my way into the mainstream industry, I can say this.
Yeah.
There is the factor too that a lot of editors, especially higher up the food chain, if we're talking like Marvel and DC,
Hmm.
they're lazy. Like they don't need to take 45 minutes to an hour to read your written pitch when they have whole teams of creatives like battering down their door trying to get their shot.
Yeah, no, I get it. And the good thing about what's going over here with this indie revival is it gives you opportunity to directly go to the customer and as a writer and do your thing. So this is a bit of a solution to that problem, yeah, and I'm glad that you have come out and put your foot forward in that, because unfortunately or fortunately this is a place where writers can actually shine, is over here in this community. We are always talking about the art because, as we've said many times, the art brings them in and the writing keeps them. But
Right.
so this is a really great format for the writer to try to bring themselves forward, and I guess that's good.
Well,
Yeah, um it's kind of the great equalizer, and it's one of the things that brought Selena and I, my wife, over. All that matters is the product. Is what you're trying to sell entertaining and of merit and value? There's no politics, there's no rubbing elbows, there's no who do you know. It's just, is this good, yes or no?
Hmm.
And if it is, and if you're slightly charismatic and you can hold your own in a discussion and sell what it is you're making to an audience, more often than not, you'll find the audience that you're looking for.
Sure. Yeah, that is true. I see that Pixel Trader has found his way in here. Hello, sir. We also have Gary Shipman is in here. Hey, Gary. And Sporkman wants you to know that he has backed Samurai and Dinosaurs. Well, thank you very much, Sporkman. And
Thank you.
yeah, but nice seeing you here in here, Gary. And of course, Gary is a creator himself, and he has his Packins Land Omnibus is on Indiegogo right now, and Beowulf is throwing it up for you guys to check it out. Eric is in here, and he says, "Hello, party people." Oh, and Chester too. All right. But anyway, so George, you've been sitting here real quiet as we've chatted about this book here and kind of a few little industry points. But I know you have questions because George has the best questions.
Yes, I do actually.
Hmm.
Tell me about your process in constructing the story. What started you on this road? What was your process? Was it a full script, half script, notes on a piece of paper that you just puzzled together? Help us understand the meat and potatoes of just how the idea came to life.
Sure. Well, so like I'll divide that in half. The first half of where the idea came from. So back I guess 10 plus years ago now, they put out that Cowboys and Aliens movie
Yeah,
based on a graphic novel. And the graphic novel had some shady stuff behind it where like no one ordered it, but like every comic shop it was the whole overship thing that we're seeing now in the comic industry.
sure.
Shops were getting like dozens of these copies, and they were doing it just so that they could say that they were like the most ordered book for that month.
Yes, yes.
um yeah.
It was a trick. The publisher, from everything that I understand, because I did look at it in detail, the publisher actually paid the retailers to take the book off their hands, so it was a free book for them.
Wow. So it already had like one thing against it, and then the movie itself I just didn't really care for. And after we saw it, my wife and I were just kind of doing that like ego boost thing of like, oh, we could come up with something better, and we just started coming up with like weird pairings just to make ourselves laugh. And I spit out Samurai and Dinosaurs, and after we got done laughing, both of us were like, well, actually that sounds pretty cool. And I just like immediately I thought of the meteorite that ended dinosaurs. And like from there, like there was a slight time travel element that dropped into my head, and like just things kind of fell in place from there. And I just started jotting down notes. So as far as how I work, um I normally work full script based on an outline. It's very anal retentive. Like I'm very controlling when I write something. Um, but this was the first time where I kind of took the Neil Gaiman approach of just letting the story tell itself. I started writing the script without knowing where anything was going, and uh, you know, luckily, thankfully, it worked out, and I was really happy with that first draft. And after tweaking a few things here and there, pass it off to Sergio. Um, now, normally when Sergio and I work together, because we've known each other for so long, I pretty much just write Marvel style plot outlines for him, with some dialogue here and there. But this was a full script from first page to last.
Okay, that's very interesting. At what point? Because you said something interesting in your description here. At what point
Sure.
did the characters just start to live on the page as you were writing it?
Um, pretty pretty much by the first flashback scene, which is in the first 11 pages with Ren. Ren's the de facto main character. Once once I had the root of the story in place, which, yeah, it's like a big action and adventure piece, but at the root of it, it's a revenge story. It's a man who's sworn his life to protect someone, and then that someone goes and kills the only person he loves. And it's how do you reconcile that? So once I had that hook in place for a main character, like, okay, well, what would get him out of this like self-imposed retirement he's put himself into? And, well, okay, like, who else would the daimyo gather to help deal with this threat? And yeah, like, from there, it really did start to feel like a living world, and I was just kind of along for the ride.
Yeah, yes, I was about to suggest something along those lines. Um, at any point during your basically being a witness to the story and just chronicling it, did you come across some heartache in the story, some tragedy that kind of grabbed at you?
Um, well, besides the revenge hook, I don't know about heartache, but there was there was a point where they're on their journey, and I'm maybe 10, 15 pages away before I need to start wrapping up the story, and I realized I didn't know what they were going to do when they actually reached the meteorite.
Wow.
Um, and yeah, because like it's feudal Japan. Like, what do you do? Um, and there are two characters in there, and again, without like going into spoiler stuff, because there is kind of a twist to the third act. There are two characters in the group who are there for a very specific reason, and their placement in the team made my brain go, okay, well, if they're there, then that means this, and that means that, and that means the daimyo knew this. So, and once I got those engines revved up, like, the rest of the story clicked into place.
I see. Yeah,
That's
that's
awesome.
cool. It is. So I guess I would ask some questions like, first of all, how many pages is it?
It's 110 pages, and that's for the
Wow.
story. Yeah,
And what do
and
you and
if
what are you paying for that 110 pages?
$20 for just the book itself.
Wow. Yeah. Plus the shipping, of course, which, depending on where it is, but
Right.
that kills everybody. But $20 for 110 pages. That is serious, dude. That is
Yeah.
very nice.
Yeah. Again, thankfully, like, printing in black and white kind of cuts like almost a quarter off of our printing fee, so that helps.
No, that's true. That is true. But yeah, that's a really good deal. And of course, like we said, this is very much a stylized type of book. But I was just sitting here going through while you guys were talking and just going slowly through reading myself. And I'm assuming the chat could do that as well whilst I was doing it. And yeah, the writing's pretty good, dude. It's
Thank
covering
you.
the story. It's showing the callous nature of this daimyo, and you display that not only here in the beginning with him and his harlots, but also his just murdering this guy's woman for no real good reason.
Yes.
Yeah. It is
Yeah.
interesting
Thank
that
you.
we go from Meteor Strike to a year later. That is interesting.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of the twist. But also, if you take into account, like, there's no mass transit, there's no easy form of communication. So if there are rumblings of problems going on 150 miles away, like, it's going to take time for that to get back to him, and then it takes him time to, like, put together the group itself. So I figured a year would be a safe amount of time to do that in.
I see. Yeah. Yeah, that doesn't matter anyway. You could tell your story as you like. Beowulf also says that I see it mentions the 110 pages in the video, but you should put it in the info too. I agree. Right up here in the overview, you should. This is the book that starts it all. 110 pages of awesomeness, or something like that.
Okay, I
You
can do
should
that.
add it up in the top there so people can see that, because that's a good selling point, right? $20 for
Sure.
110 pages, awesome, right? That's a really good point. With our project that we're working on with Tales Beyond the Gate, that is 160 plus pages for $30. Both
Right.
of these are good deals, right? $20 for 110 pages is a good deal, especially when you're seeing a lot of, especially the bigger names, putting out 48-page books or so for $25.
Right.
So it's it's more bang for the buck, and of course, it also means you're going to get more of a story, more of a complete story. Now,
Totally.
beyond getting this book out there and getting it funded and getting it printed and published and all that kind of stuff, do you have plans for future storytelling, or is this a one shot?
This is, for all intents and purposes, a one shot. I have rough ideas for sequels, but I don't want anyone to think that the last page is going to be like, is it? Um, this is very much a self-contained story. There's there's plans for a direct follow-up, which would be called Ijime. Um, and
Ijime?
yeah,
Okay.
Japanese for bully.
Yeah.
And
Or
past
just
that,
mean person, really, is what it means.
oh, okay, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, well, that's
Ichiwabi.
good to know. Actually,
Yeah.
that's good to know. I might, if I get around to writing that, I might have to run some stuff past you.
You're more than welcome to, dude. Like I said, I
Cool.
was actually kind of
Um,
reading it in the English and then translating it in my head to Japanese and see how it flowed. I would make there are a few little suggestions in the art I probably would make offline to you for Sergio. It has nothing to do with the style, but it has to do with what Japan would have or not have.
sure.
But that doesn't really mean anything. So
Yeah, yeah. And then past that, like pie in the sky. Like, if we get to talk serious sequels, I kind of really wanted to expand on the world, and would be detectives and dinosaurs, and the fourth book would be astronauts and dinosaurs.
oh, okay, cool. Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
but again, that's way off. Immediately after Samurai and Dinosaurs, we're heading into a new book called The Gods Fear Me, but that won't be until like August or September.
I see. Oh, cool. Well, yeah, keep at it, man. Keep putting stuff up there. Keep getting your name out there and build it up, dude. Now, Pixel Trader asked the same question I asked earlier, but when we are offline and talking, he says, "I'm just sitting here like a sneaky, silent samurai, waiting for dinosaurs to appear." And there are no dinosaur art whatsoever. Now, you explained to us why, and I get it. But still, you might want to just put up a single panel of a dinosaur.
Sure, you're not wrong, and especially if we end up having to extend the campaign, I'm going to be massively adjusting the page itself.
Mm,
Like, we're gonna be adding a whole bunch of stuff to it, and
sure.
highlighting the dinosaurs will be part of it.
Yeah, because I like the fact that we have that straight run of pages and we can read it and get a feel for the story. I like that a lot. I wish more
Yeah.
people would do that. And Eric says Chester Busby, Dino Rider confirmed. All right, yeah, fine, dude. If I had a dinosaur, I'd ride it every day. Absolutely. I go to work in it. I go to McDonald's. I get my convenience store stuff every day for sure. But anyway, all right. Well, we're going to switch over to our news segment of the program here momentarily. But thanks a lot for coming on and talking about your book here, Mike. I think it's a really cool looking project. It's very unique. I've certainly never seen anything about samurai and dinosaurs before. It's a project that is well worked up. It's well ready to go, and it's honestly a really good price. I mean, it's just this basic one right here, $20 plus your shipping to get a physical copy of a 110-page book. I think that's awesome. So guys,
Mhm.
definitely go over there and give some support here to Mike and his crew, and give him, just give him some love because it looks like a fun project, and I think it certainly deserves to at least get published and come into reality. So and we want to see you, Mike, do more and more things, of course, and of course keep in mind that any other projects you do in the future, you're more than welcome to come over here and talk about it, dude. We're happy to have you. But
Well, thanks so
with that,
much.
I guess I would like to have your closing comments for the folks, man.
Yeah, like first off, thanks to everyone who's backed us already. It really does mean the world to Selena and I, and
Mhm.
this really is a starting fresh point for us as a company. And to everyone who's on the fence, we really do hope that you'll take a chance with the book. It's 110 pages for $20. The book itself is complete. Shipping will be in September to account for like the pinup gallery artists and an ashcan book that I'm putting together on my own. So yeah, like we really do hope that if the subject matter interests you at all, that you'll take a chance. And thanks in advance, everyone.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely go check this book out, guys. I think it's worth the time and effort here. And just sitting here for this short period of time talking with Mike, I get a feel for you and what you're doing, and I want to support you myself, and we want to see this come to fruition. Edwin seems to have enjoyed the interview. Well, thank you very much, Edwin. Pixel is
Thank you.
shilling Indicron as you are welcome to do, sir. We shill it every day. Because Indicron is extremely useful thing, and it gets us to all these wonderful Indiegogos. It focuses our searches. But anyway, we're going to be moving over to doing news now, Mike. We'd love for you to stick around and join us for the shenanigans that are about to take place. So,
Yeah, I'm not going.
are you ready? All right.
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, here we go, folks. All right, let me see. We could start with any of these ones here. Which one should I start with? Should we start with something? Let's go to this one. Here, let's go to this one right here, right here. Denali, wake up. Let's get to it.
I, I've been awake all this time. To fans shocked by Batman killing people, Zack Schneider says, "Wake the f up."
Okay. First thing before we even get into this article, this is what happens when you put a German in charge of anything. All right. Uh, moving on. Tell them what this article is about, Denali.
Basically, there was a recent Q&A with Zack Schneider
Hmm.
talking about the Batman versus Superman and why he was justifying Batman killing. He's saying, well, he's like, this is a dream, or this is a dream. Things can happen, adaptation, stupid things. Wake up. It's just a fictional character. Why are you guys so bent out of shape? And at the end of the point, it's, you're a music video director.
Yep.
You're all
Yep.
flashes, no substance. And again, this is proves the point that you don't know the material you're working with.
Okay.
You happen to get lucky with 300. That's
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, that is. And let me go a little deeper into that, Denelli. This article here is by Chris Arendt. So let's pay attention. This is Chris Arendt, and he's an editor. Awesomeness. Let me actually quote Schneider. Okay, he says, "Oh, like Batman killed a guy." I'm like, "Wake the f up," Snyder says. So I guess that's what I'm saying about once you've lost your virginity to this effing movie, and then when you come and say to me something like, "My superhero wouldn't do that," I'm like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, down the effing road on that. You know what I mean? No, dude. That's like a nonsensical comment. I don't know. Were you drunk? But then our absolutely awesome Mr. Editor Chris Arendt says it's a cool point. What point? He didn't even make a point. What are you on about? Right? But beyond that, the reason Batman doesn't kill, there's actually several reasons. But the main reason he doesn't kill is because he's trying to bring order to Gotham. He's not trying to add more to the pile. He's trying to reduce the pile. And he's also trying to set an example for his actions. And it's also the classic understanding of what a hero does. A hero
Well,
does not kill, right?
well,
They
again, it
Hero
goes
has.
back.
Sorry.
It
Go
goes okay. It goes back to what we discussed way before with several shows before, which is I blame Frank Miller and I blame Alan Moore for the deconstruction of those stories.
Yeah.
You know, and everybody's like, "Oh, this is amazing! This is blowing my mind," and everybody are trying to capture that magic
Mhm.
without understanding why that worked, and all it becomes is a pale imitation that lacks substance. And even in the quote, he says, if you go back, scroll up a little bit, Chester, he says, "Mythological speaking, I'm 100% fine, and I love more than anything that's Superman and Batman. But in the same way, Alan Moore was fed up with the effing light. Clearly, this is a response where Watchmen talked about comic books in the same way this movie talks about comic book movies. See, and he's already trying to compare himself to Alan Moore, which if we all know Alan Moore temperament, he would scoff and spit on his shoe.
Well, yeah, and of course you have to add in the aspect that movie makers, no matter what role they're in, they think themselves superior to everything else below them, TV, comics, novel, whatever. They always come off in this extremely arrogant way. They can do it better. They have the right. They are this awesome thing that must be listened to and obeyed. We see this over and over and over. This kind of arrogance, and of course our chat here completely agrees. Nick says, "I take a pretty staunch stance on Batman killing. Batman doesn't kill. Period." hmm Eric Boyd says, should we all say this in unison? Batman doesn't kill. That's why you're an F-tard. Uh-huh. I mean F-tard as in Schneider being one. Yeah, we got that, dude. Beowulf, who's keep in mind this is just an Australian, and we have to understand that he's handicapped here. I support Murder Bat. Not killing the Joker is evil. Modern Batman is a psychopath playing a sick game, and the real hero would put the Joker down once and for all, no matter the consequences. Now, of course, if we're talking real life, and I was out there myself trying to bring some order to a chaotic situation, I'd be murdering people left and right. Yeah. But this isn't about reality. It's about a concept. It's about a heroic intention, right? It's not something that's so simply we're going to make it gritty and real. Ugh." That's not what it is. It just isn't that. And yes, you just in Australia. That's right, Beowulf. That's what you get for supporting Murder Bat. Do you have any opinions on this, Mike?
Oh, okay. Well, first off, it's clear that Snyder was drinking.
Obviously.
It seems like he should always have a publicist hanging on to him at all times.
Mhm.
So I know I'm in the minority here. I like Snyder's work.
Mhm.
I enjoyed Man of Steel, and that's coming from a lifelong fan of Superman. Like literally, the first thing I drew was Superman. Um, I don't know. Like I, I think if he wasn't drunk and blitzed, I think he could have strung together a better argument for Batman in that film. But obviously, that's not what happened. The point of Batman in that film is he's over the hill and broken because the Joker broke him. We're looking at a guy pushing 50 who tried playing it the right way, and then he was broken. It would be one thing if this was like a year one Batman and like
Mm.
he was just some urban vigilante killing fools left and right. Then I'd be
Yeah.
like, okay, I see what you're saying. That's a bad take. This is supposed to be that character broken. So I think if Snyder could have put together that argument, that would have been a smarter way to go. But attacking your fan base, to me, is never the way to go.
Nope. And
I
that's what they do. I just want to make one comment, George, before you come in with your opinion here. This is a very interesting photo. I'm kind of stuck on here, and I'm for a reason. I actually saw Ezra Miller this last year at the Comic Con, and he walked right past me. Well, excuse me, he pranced right past me, literally. But and he's a really teeny guy. I mean, he came
Mhm.
up. I'd say he was about my abdomen diaphragm level, just below my chest. I mean, it's real, and I'm a tall guy. I get it, but he's really teeny. But you look at him and him with his bend knee and stuff like that. He's much taller than a Schneider. Ben Affleck is not much taller than him. All these guys are of similar size. Henry Cavill, the only one that's actually got some size on him is Jason Momoa, and he's still kind of much smaller than me. It shows you how little these Hollywood people really are, dude. Especially because I have a point of reference now, right? Because literally had Ezra Miller prancing past me. So I know exactly how tall he was. I mean, I was sitting on the aisle and he came back. I mean, I could have reached out and touched him, right? I didn't,
Yeah.
of course. I didn't want to catch anything. But no, I mean, just kidding. We love Ezra. But he's really teeny human. But if you look at here in this picture, it shows you because he's basically almost the same height as Ben Affleck if he was standing up straight. These are little humans, man.
Well, that's most of Hollywood, though. I mean, what's the whole thing? Like every single movie that Tom Cruise is in, he has to stand on an apple crate.
Yep, yep. But here's the thing, though, with Henry Cavill, because Jason Momoa, he's about the size I expected. He's probably about 6 foot, I'd say, or
Mhm.
something near it. But Henry Cavill is a little teeny dude, but boy, does he play big well. He plays big really well.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
Totally.
and that's an interesting thing. We were talking about Josh Brolin the other day in the same way. He's super teeny as well. He's probably about Schneider's height right here. But
Right.
Brolin plays big wonderfully. He really has a presence about him. But anyway, George, go ahead, dude.
Yeah, a couple of things. Ben Affleck is like 6'2", 6'3". Jason Momoa is like
No,
6'5".
no,
Yeah,
no. I don't care
yes,
what
yes.
they say in their
Google
bios,
it.
George. They're wrong. I'm looking at the picture, George. There's no way.
Yeah.
These are little dudes. I say Ben Affleck is probably 5'8", 5'9" at best.
Okay. Okay. Forget the height. My question to the panel is: does anyone recall in the Frank Miller Batman? What was it? The Dark Knight. Do you recall Batman actually killing anyone in that book? I don't.
No.
He came close to killing the Joker, but he only just broke his neck, just enough so he can paralyze him but not kill him. So Zack Snyder trying to compare himself against Frank Miller and all that stuff is really weak.
Yeah.
Right.
Even Frank Miller knew where the line is in terms of the brand of the character and 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 just the quality of the story.
Yeah, and that's a fair point, George. A lot of the guys like Frank Miller and Garth Ennis and Grant Morrison and these kind of guys who are really railing against the comic book idea, the superhero idea. They have their own, granted rather liberal perspective on things. They all know the line though, and that's why they have success. Right, because they know that line, and we can appreciate their opinion because they're not bashing us over the head with their nonsense. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the whole thing with Garth Ennis. As much as he would kind of have a laugh at everything that was superhero comics, I
Yeah.
remember in an interview him saying that, when he wrote Superman and Hitman, like he had the utmost reverence for him because like Superman's the character you don't mess with.
Yeah. No. Yeah, sure. Of course, he's and
Right.
of course Bendis is coming in and absolutely tearing him apart.
Uh,
But
Oh man, don't
Eric
get
says
started.
Chester is hung up on the height of actors. I'm just shocked how teeny they are, dude. Because looking at this picture, Schneider is a really small person. I just don't. I just it's shocking to me. Is all. You know.
You should meet Seth Green sometime. Seth Green is like about the size of a Smurf, and when he's walking through a comic convention, you almost step on him if you don't don't notice him.
Yep.
He's got large people around him, but he's just this little itty bitty dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen him around.
Cool.
But
Hello,
yeah,
Pixel.
what?
Hey there.
But again, it comes back to one of our earlier conversation, which is Superman, not Superman, but Batman's. Or maybe it was Superman. Superman was disciplined, but I think Batman was also disciplined as well. That was his superpower.
Well, yeah, Batman's
Uh,
all about control. That's the
right,
thing that's killed. That's just absolutely ridiculous in the those books we were reviewing. These modern things that are going on with Tom King. It's not.
right,
That's not Batman. He's all about control. Everything he is
right.
control. Yeah.
So that's his superpower, where he says money is my superpower. No, he still would have been Batman without the money. The money makes it easier to get those fancy gadgets, but he would still be out there fighting just with, a rope and a ski mask if it had to come down to it, because he has discipline. And unfortunately, these current writers, directors, don't recognize that. I think the last director that recognized that was Christopher Nolan, with that interrogation scene with the Joker, where he said there's one rule that he doesn't break it, which is killing people.
Yeah.
So,
And
Well, go ahead.
real quick, just on the Tom King thing, like reading the first 3 volumes of Tom King's Batman book, it seemed fairly standard, and I was like, okay, like maybe he could build something cool with this. But starting with volume 4, which I think was the War of Jokes and Riddles, it just became clear that he didn't understand the character on any type of level, and I think part of that is because a lot of what Tom King does is he has to imprint himself and his his issues onto his characters.
Depressions. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can't do that with a character like Batman. Like something like the Vision like works perfectly, and that's why I think that book is great.
Hmm.
But you put those same sensibilities on this character that's supposed to represent, as you said, discipline and terror and the night, and it's like oil and water.
Yeah. Well, there's this misconception that creative people have to be emotional. They have to be, near death on drugs. They have to wear their heart on their sleeve, et cetera, et cetera. This concept of, the Morrison type of, idea. And this is far, far from the truth. If you think of it in music, the most successful, lyric writers, songwriters in history are the most straight edge people you ever meet. Consistently they're like that. So this concept of having Tom King, who's absolute disaster of a human, writing things down, and because he's a emotional artistic person, of course they have their issues. No, 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 no. Did I say no?
And even if that's the case, like it's your job as a writer to be able to imagine what it's like to be in someone else's shoes, which is the disconnect for me. Like
right.
just, well, okay, you have these issues, but why are you incapable of picturing someone who doesn't have these issues?
Yeah. Now, Beowulf does make an interesting point. There's some really good comments over here in the chat. Thank you, guys. Beowulf says, Chester, according to Ranker, Frank Miller had Batman murder some thieves by burning them alive, and then had sex next to their burning corpses. Yes, well, that sounds like something Frank Miller would do, wouldn't he? I mean, really. I mean, come on.
I
But
mean,
they are trying to deconstruct stuff, and but the fact that they were faceless thugs is kind of his line, I think, right?
mm,
Yeah. But we spent a lot of time on this. Let's see if we can't find another one.
Yeah.
This one right here, unfortunately, will have to be our last one for today. So we do have a couple things we should mention just
Right.
offhand. Okay. This one, you go ahead, Denali. Just mention it offhand. We won't discuss it.
Right. The EU approves the controversial copyright laws,
Mhm.
Article 13s and the other article, which is draconians, meaning that it'll give carte blanche to any media to copyrights any context on the webs, because they'll be able to sue the platform, and because this platform won't be able to don't want to be sued, they'll be even stricter with contacts. So Yay, that.
Yeah, this is an attempt to gain monetary control. I think it has more to do with blacking out the EU because of the things that are going on. I think they intentionally want people to revolt against this because as you've seen, it's very hard to get news out of places like France and Germany right now because of the absolute insanity that's going on. They're arresting people for their opinions, et cetera, et cetera. I think they want a blackout in Europe, and I think this is how they're going about getting it because I've already heard rumblings from things like YouTube and they put out a long statement on this, as well as Facebook and Twitter, that I think they're not going to comply. I think what they're going to do is simply black out Europe. I think that's what's going to happen. Actually, now keep in mind this right here is not an actual law. What this is a requirement that is going from the EU to the other countries. Now the other countries have to then take this decision and make it law in their country. They're required to do that. So this isn't the actual law yet. It's just forcing the countries to do that. But yeah, this is a bunch of nonsense. The other thing we got here is this one.
Alrighty. Well, IDW has hired JP Morgan Chase to review the company's portfolio and maximize share stockholders' value in preparation of sales. Basically, they're looking for a buyer because they are doing poorly, and the best way to attract buyers is by giving them good stock numbers and good numbers because they are truly in the red.
Well, I wish I had the money because I'd buy it. But I'm sure this is a ridiculous cost because the thing with IDW is a lot of people have this concept that it's just a comic book company. They're not. They own a lot of
Yeah.
IPs. They do a lot of things beyond that with movies, animation, games, things like that. IDW is much bigger than just the comic books they do. But it should be interesting to see what happens with it. Is it going to be bought up by some conglomerate and then broken into pieces? I don't know. But we'll have to see how it works. I'll buy it for
Nah,
$1, Beowulf says. Sweet, and so does Nick. But anyway,
no, I'm pretty sure a Chinese uh, company would try to
probably.
buy it.
That's probably a fair bet. Okay. But the last one I want us to actually take a little bit of time with is this one right here. Now, first thing, we'll go ahead and introduce the article to Nelly.
New Mutants, Maze Williams says reshoot never happened and cast is unclear if it will ever be released.
Okay, so it looks like this one is truly dead, but I want to take a look at this photo for a second. I mean, how successful were they in collecting the absolute most ugly group of people they could find? I mean, it's success, right? I mean, success, because they did. They're just ugly humans, right? And Maisie, although I think she's a pretty good actress from Game of Thrones, man, she just grew up bad ugly, man. I mean, just wow, bad ugly. I feel sad for her, man. I mean, look at those bug eyes. I mean, she's gonna murder somebody. That was my comment.
No comment. No comments here.
But
Oh,
I mean, come on, guys, look at this cast. You want to
No
sell this
comment.
to us? I mean, come
No
on.
comment. No comment.
All right, fine. We like beautiful people. But actually, with this movie though, and the little trailer we saw some time ago, I seem to be in the kind of by myself because no one seems to agree with me. But I kind of like the idea of turning the New Mutants into a horror story. I thought it was a cool idea, but it looks like they really failed to make that happen. And I'm a bit surprised that, of course, I'm not surprised this one isn't going on anywhere. But the Dark Phoenix one, we also know from screenings and stuff, is an absolute train wreck. But they're putting that one out.
Then it must be that this one is even worse than the Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, totally.
Unsalvageable.
Maybe.
That's what it's letting me know that Kevin Feige saw this and it's like, nope, we can't even release this.
I was open to the idea of making it into a horror movie, but then the trailer drops and I'm like, no.
This looks like an teens angst.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Beowulf agrees with me. Oh, thanks, you dude. Because I think it would be a cool idea to make a full-on horror movie, actually. I
Sure.
think it has a lot to do with the casting and the presentation. They are New Mutants, so they are going to be young. But if you're going to go young, because these people you've chosen, although they may be youngish in age, they look ancient. I mean, these look 30 somethings. I mean, they're not kids.
What I was hoping for is, when I heard the horror element thing, what I was hoping for is that they would take a page from something like Black Hole. I don't know if you've ever read that, but it's basically a teen horror story, and it's all it's all body horror and the
Yeah.
pains of growing up. And I'm like, well, that dovetails perfectly with the whole mutant aesthetic.
Yeah, that one is a bit on the nose. I think it would be better if it was a little more subtle. But
Mhm.
yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. We have no clue what's going on with this, and it looks like it's dead in the water. But it's too bad. Maybe Disney will take it and rework the concept in a better way because this cat. I know I'm kind of harping on the photo here, but this cast is completely unappealing. There's nothing here I
Mhm.
want. Right? I'm not interested at
Uh,
all. Yeah.
I think what's going on is that Disney is reevaluating this in light of the Fox deal,
Hmm.
and they're trying to make sure that their brands, their Disney brands that hold Marvel, all are consistent. And from everything I've seen, the only thing that's not consistent with a Disney brand is Deadpool, and it's successful, and it will continue being successful because it's a brand that's way outside the norm. This they don't have that. They don't have that at all. I mean, they're just a weak version of the X-Men, and they have no voice in the crowd,
Yeah,
and I
but you
think
could
that's
do
what's
it.
going
Well,
on.
you could do it properly though. You could introduce these kids easy. It wouldn't be hard at all.
Sure, of course, but within the context of the X-Men universe, and play it safe. But this is, from everything I've seen so far,
Hmm.
it's just too far away from the brand.
Maybe, yeah, for sure. But then keep in mind that the average movie-going audience doesn't really know anything about comic books at all. So it doesn't really matter. And we've seen a lot of that in the translation from the comic book to the movie already. I mean, if we really wanted to nitpick, we could nitpick every single movie they've made. I think most of us understand that, hey, it's a movie, no big deal. It's got the concept there, go with it, right? But from a fan's point of view, of course you can nitpick it, but the normal people, they have no clue. So in all honesty, you could do anything you want, right? You could truly do whatever you wanted with this crew, and we'll see what happens because I like the concept, and I think the concept itself is why it got made. So maybe Disney will take that concept and run something with it. Another thing on the Dark Phoenix, I'm a little bit surprised they're releasing because they just put out Captain Marvel, and they introduced the Skrulls in that, right? And of course, we'd already seen the Kree, but they build upon the Kree a little bit as well. But we know that in Dark Phoenix there are Skrulls. So are they not going to be conflicting with each other? The different scroll concepts?
And
Well,
there's scrolls in the Dark Phoenix.
Yes. I know it's weird, but
well,
yes.
well, yes. Well, the MCU looked like the Nameks from Dragon Ball Z's, and the Dark Phoenix
Yeah.
looks like uh, bad Hulk-like characters from a B-rated or C-rated
Yeah, they look
Hulk
really
movie.
bad. That's true. That's true. And Eric Boyce says they look like a bunch of heroin addicts. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Especially that dude in the back and freaking Maisie, man. Damn. I feel so bad for this girl. I mean, she got like, brick in the head ugly, man. It's like it's quite so. Sorry, sad for her. But anyway, let's get off it. um, um,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm picking on a little girl. Denali doesn't like
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Fine.
You gotta be a gentleman.
No, I
She's like the
don't
nicest kid.
actually. Not at all. But anyway,
Mhm.
we come to the end of the show here, guys, and thank you very much for joining us. That was fun. Nice, tight, pretty much tight hour. We covered, of course, Samurai and Dinosaurs here from Mike Murphy. Thank you very much for coming on, sir. Would you like to give your
Thanks
last
for
little
having me.
pitch for that?
Thanks for having me. Down Meteorite, elite group of samurai, dinosaurs bleeding out from the Jurassic era into feudal Japan. There's a quick pitch.
There you go. It's awesome. All right. Of course, we also have George on here, and he has his Joe King. It's in demand, dude. Why don't you give your information?
Joe King, everything that you like about cartoons like Chuck Jones, combined with Star Trek and Doctor Who, with a whole lot of humor in between. And I also like to take a moment and talk about the EU thing. First sign of an invasion is to kill the communication.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Thank you. Also keep in mind, of course, you have Handyman over on Indiegogo, which is, of course, a member of FanSpeak here, Brad from Pencil for Life. Definitely go check that out. Of course, we have the Tales from Beyond the Gate as well. There are some really cool projects, and we'd love you guys to throw some money at that and help support us and get those projects out. But beyond that, Nick W says she got a brick in the head. She got a brick in the head, ugly man. Chester, 2019. Thank you, man. Well, thanks.
We got a T-shirt that.
We do. We do. We do. But anyway, um, it is what it is, man. Because I mean, in a way, with her, we did kind of grow up with her a little bit, didn't we? We saw her grow up in
Mhm.
front of
Yes.
us with Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So but hmm. All right. That is it, I guess, guys. So Denali, take us out, man.
All right. Well, today is Wednesday, so you know what that means. It's the Drawn and Quarter Pro Edition that will be on Blacklist Universe, less than an hour's. Join us tomorrow for the fan edition of Drawn and Quarter, where well, Chester and Booster will figure out what the theme is going to be, along with Pixel, that they're going to be drawing. And then we have Fanspeak Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern, followed by Saturday, which is Bunny Vision Movie Night.
Blade.
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 Blade. So the first black superhero for Marvel. Don't let them confuse you with Black Panther.
Yeah, no, right. No love
And
for
then
Leslie.
right, and then join us for Tinfoil Hat on
TFT,
Sunday.
baby. That's right. We're
Well,
talking Antarctica. Ooh, conspiracy theories abound.
but as always, your perception shapes your reality, so always make it a good one.
Namaste. Later,
Aloha.
guys.
Later.